Hi everyone, welcome back to the first video of 2022 of Mike's Geek Corner with your host, Mike Avedo. And what better way to start this year, even if a little later than expected, than with a review of an astounding film, that being The Batman. Directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson in the title role and Bruce Wayne, Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, Paul Dano as the Riddler, Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon, Colin Farrell as the Penguin, Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth, and John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. What we got here is not only one of the best, if not the best, Batman movie ever made, but also one of the best detective thrillers ever made. This is a Batman movie we should have gotten back in the 90s. I mean, that was a quintessential era of the crime thriller. The era of Silence of the Lambs, Usual Suspects, Seven, and LA Confidential. It also potentially could have been the Batman movie we might have gotten in the 70s, were it to be given the same type of serious commitment that Richard Donner's Superman movie did. Where it has the workings that has made Dirty Harry, Chinatown, The French Connection, Taxi Driver, Murder by Decree, and The Warriors, the milestone achievements that they are. And when your Batman movie is also informed by such classic Batman tales like Year One, The Long Halloween, Zero Year, and also the Bronze Age comics work of Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams, Steve Englehart, and Marshall Rogers, it only further enriches the experience. I recall reading somewhere that Batman is basically four characters in one. There's a Zorro aspect to him, which is his secret double life as a rich playboy and a masked vigilante. A Shadow aspect, which is his dark and obsessive drive to eradicate crime and inspire fear on evildoers. There's a Doc Savage aspect, which is his resourcefulness with the use of his wealth, highly trained intellect, and physical prowess to battle evil in either his normal and supernatural form. And a Sherlock Holmes aspect, which is his unparalleled detectivism. The first three mentioned have all been prominently captured in the previous live-action theatrical films of the Cape Crime Fighter, from Tim Burton's films to the Snyderverse. It's a Sherlock Holmes trait that hasn't really been showcased in live-action arguably since the days of Adam West, and only been slightly touched upon in the Burton, Schumacher, Nolan, and Snyder films. After having brought a considerable level of realism to the Planet of the Apes franchise, director Matt Reeves has stepped into the film legacy of The Dark Knight to add another layer that pushes the envelope further. Tim Burton gave us a German expressionism Batman. Christopher Nolan gave us the anti-terrorist Batman. Zack Snyder gave us the epic fantasy Batman. And now Matt Reeves finally gives us the detective noir Batman, with the uncompromising nature of a Francis Ford Coppola, Paul Verhoeven, or a Todd Phillips, resulting in the most chilling Batman movie I've seen. In some ways it can be seen as a sort of spiritual continuation of the Nolanverse with its realism, but at the same time it embraces the material's dark nature in such a way that might make Tim Burton and Zack Snyder envious. But probably above all, it's the most emotionally layered Batman film yet. The story deals with Bruce Wayne in his early years as Batman in Gotham, where some of his tactics are still a work in progress. By this time though, he has already developed a level of friendship with the police lieutenant James Gordon, and, despite wariness from most of the police, Batman is summoned by Gordon to aid in investigating the murder of the mayor of Gotham at the hands of a mysterious and sadistic serial killer calling himself the Riddler, who then follows with the murder of the police commissioner. After the Riddler leaves a riddle following the commissioner's murder, Batman follows a clue that leads him to the Iceberg Lounge nightclub, which is operated by the Penguin, the enforcer of Gotham mob boss Carmine Falcone, and there he comes across a waitress named Selena Kyle, whose roommate is connected with the late Gotham mayor. The Cape Crusader convinces Selena to help him by infiltrating the company of corrupt Gotham officials and find her friend, as the Riddler continues his trail of bloodshed and Bruce Wayne discovers more than he bargained for when his family name is connected to the shady events transpiring. Robert Pattinson creates the most world-weary depiction of Bruce Wayne on screen. Think of him as a cross between Robert De Niro as Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver and William Peterson as Will Graham in Michael Mann's Manhunter. As Batman, he conveys an emotional depth through the mask in a way that makes him stand out admirably from his predecessors. Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon is delightfully sardonic. Zoe Kravitz makes for the most intimate screen version of Selena Kyle, same with Andy Serkis' Alfred Pennyworth. An unrecognizable Colin Farrell chews the scenery any chance he gets as the Penguin in a very De Niro-esque way. John Turturro is convincingly conniving as Carmine Falcone. And last but not least, Paul Dano as the Riddler creeps you to the bone, much like Heath Ledger did as the Joker in The Dark Knight, and Kevin Spacey in Usual Suspects and Seven. It's probably the most significant portrayal of the character since the days of Frank Gorshin in the Adam West TV show. Matt Reeves' direction is a very kinetic one. It's very visceral. It keeps you on alert, like all the best thrillers do. From the very beginning of the movie, you are let known that you are in for a very intense roller coaster ride. Reeves delivers such an intriguing storytelling that the film's 3-hour duration becomes an afterthought. Composer Michael Giacchino, and I apologize if I am not pronouncing that name correctly, he has done some very beautiful musical scores in films such as 2009's Star Trek, John Carter, and Spider-Man No Way Home. But this might be, in my opinion, his best work yet. It's probably the most captivating score for a Batman film since Danny Elfman's original piece for the '89 film. It's just a very mesmerizing composition. The film ends with open doors to further films. There's echoes of 0 Year, as previously mentioned, and a hint of another legendary Batman villain, so can't wait. So if you're someone who likes Batman stories like Year One, The Long Halloween, The Last Arkham, and 0 Year, as well as movie thrillers like those of David Fincher or William Friedkin, then it would be a riddle to solve as to why you won't go watch The Batman. So that's it for this review. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, please give it a like. Please make sure you subscribe. And feel free to leave your comments down below. Take care, everyone. Bye.